You are a leader, therefore, you're a decision maker. How good are you at making decisions? 3 criteria to evaluate yourself. Number 1, decisiveness. Number 2, ownership. Number 3, values. Welcome to Great Transition Strategies Monday Morning Stand-Up. 5 minutes to get your week off to a great start and potentially give you something to make you a more effective leader. All right, as a leader, you're a decision maker. How good are you at making decisions? Give yourself a score of 0 to 10. If you ask the folks that work with you, what do you think they would say? Let's use these 3 criteria to kind of evaluate yourself, right? And let's just evaluate yourself here on your decision-making ability. And I'm going to use an example along the way that can kind of show you how they apply. First, decisiveness. What is decisiveness? You might have a definition for it, but I think of decisiveness, first 2 parts to it. Number 1 is, do you spend the right amount of time on the decision? Does it have the right priority? Long, hard decision that you need a lot of information, that probably should take a long period of time. There are some easier decisions. Do you equivocate and take a long time on those easy decisions? Probably not right. So think about, number 1, the time. Number 2, who, what, when, where. When you make a decision, is that explained with what you're doing? Does everyone understand? Notice I left out the why and the how. You don't always need the why, although sometimes helpful. How, many times you don't need to tell people how to do things. So let's take an example. Suppose you have your team together and you need some representation at a monthly meeting where your organization needs to be represented. Suppose you just say, hey, I want you all to decide who is going to attend that meeting. It's in 3 weeks. And you leave it for them to decide. A week before the meeting, hey, who's going to attend the meeting? They're stressed, you're stressed, or maybe someone signed up. Of course, it's that person who always signs up for everything, who maybe you didn't really want to go. A better way might be, hey, we need representation at that meeting that occurs on a monthly basis. I want you all to get together, come to me with some recommendations, and we'll make a decision next week on who's going to attend it. Then you get the recommendations. Thanks. I'm going to take option number 2. We're going to send Julie. She's new. This is going to give her some good experience to grow. So Julie, and then we'll talk about it when you're done. There you go. We spent some time, thought about it, got some information, and now gave who, what, when, where, and we gave the why in this particular case too. All right. Next part, ownership. Do you own the decision? And I think a good part of that is how you give that decision. Yep, Julie, you're going. This is why. You're very direct. Everybody hears it, or it's in writing. Here's an email. However you make decisions, however you communicate. So it's very clear that people know what the decision is that you made, and you're owning that decision. That's the first part of it. Next part, you're owning the results. Julie comes back and says, that didn't go so well. I didn't have the background to be able to answer questions. I don't think I represented us too well. Okay, my fault. I sent you there. The reason I was sending you was to get that experience. Not what we should have done. My fault. We're going to change that. You owned it. You owned delivering it, and now you own the results of it. Have you ever seen someone who did not own it? Well, that's your decision. I took your recommendation, and you know the results of that. Last one, values. If you've been listening to me for a while, values are extremely important. How well do your decisions align with the values that you practice and espouse every day and the organizational values? Really important part. When you make decisions based on your values, it's pretty easy. The decision happens pretty easily, and you're somewhat predictable too. People know where you're coming from. If you change, if they're not aligned with your values, the way you live and lead, and the organizational values, you're kind of blowing with the wind, and you're unpredictable. People are like, who knows what kind of decision she's going to make this time. So evaluate yourself. As you think about yourself and how you make decisions, where are you on the decisiveness scale, ownership, and value scale? You want that, so that's your evaluation. Ask someone else and see what kind of score they would give you. Thanks for listening. Hope you found that helpful. See you next Monday morning, 8:30. Have a great week.